Happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm glad that I am finally back. And I do apologize for not being here for the last couple of lives. This is just such a busy time of year for me, and I just cannot be in half a dozen places at once. So I really would like to thank everyone that was at the market in Condor on Sunday for giving me such a nice warm welcome, and for supporting Tsl Organics and recognizing that we're doing what we can to help you and your family be healthy and happy this holiday season. Oh, itchy nose again. Okay, so you can hear I'm getting ready for another market today, but I was not going to miss a third live. So I am glad that I can be here, and I hope that all of you enjoy what we're going to do. So we are making pizza today. You know, this is such a busy time of year for everybody. It just is. It doesn't matter much who you are. This is a busy time of year. So being that this is such a busy time of year, we are going to make some comfort food that is easy and fast. Now you can get the pizza crust, and that's what we're doing today, is the pizza crust. And the reason that we're doing that today is it's going to take a few minutes to get this ready. And I want you to see that you can make this, make it, bake it, and put it away so that when you need something quick and easy, you're going to have it right on hand. And on Sunday, we will finish the pizza with the sauce and the toppings, and we'll do all of the things and all of the stuff so that we have a delicious pizza. Now, I hope that all of you have a nice piping hot cup of coffee. I kind of have a production crew today, kind of part-time, so we'll see. I don't actually have a cup of coffee right now, but that may change in a few minutes. So what are you doing in December that is making your life a little bit hectic? And how are you dealing with all of that hecticness? Is that a word? It's a word today. Hecticness. Yes, I think we need to make that a word. So everybody has stress to deal with. Everybody has crazy holiday stuff to deal with. And it doesn't matter who you are. Whether you celebrate Christmas or don't celebrate Christmas, whether you celebrate a different holiday, we all still have the stress to deal with because the stores are crazy busy, the roads are crazy busy, the weather is just crazy depending on where you live. So it's a crazy time for everybody, whether it's dealing with crowds, dealing with traffic, dealing with shopping, dealing with getting all the gifts in the mail, or doing all the things and all the stuff and the decorating and the whatever. So let's do something that isn't going to be crazy, and it's going to make life a little bit easier when you come home from work, home from shopping, home from school, and you need something that's just quick and easy, that's going to let you sit down and relax. Let's do that. Okay, so first things first, you guys want to see what I'm going to be doing here? The very first thing that I'm going to do is get out a bowl. There we go. There's one. Oh, you didn't see that? Okay, we'll fix that. There we go. Okay, so there's the bowl. We're going to use that in a little bit. Now, we need 216 grams of almond flour. This is an almond flour pizza crust. There are all kinds of different keto pizza crusts out there. Some of them are made with just meat. Some of them are made with cheese. Some are made with a combination. Today we're going to do a dough pizza crust that does not have meat or cheese in it. Now, that being said, it means that it does have a little bit of carbs in it, so you want to keep that in mind. But if you're just wanting that doughy pizza crust that you're kind of used to, this is maybe going to be a good answer for you. Okay, so 216 grams of almond flour, and into that, so that's about 2¼ cups. Into that, we are going to add 14 grams, or about 2 tablespoons of coconut flour. Now, the coconut flour is important because it's going to absorb the moisture from some of the eggs that we're going to add in here. So you can see that this coconut flour has some little lumps in it, and the almond flour does too. So we'll just kind of crush up those lumps a little bit. Okay. Now this is easy, guys. Oh, and you know what? I see some coffee in my future. And what are we putting in the coffee today? My sugar-free almond syrup. It is absolutely yummy and one of my total favorites. Okay, so hot coffee. Gotta love a hot cup of coffee. Not as much as you gotta love a good production crew. Seriously. So, production crew, husband, boyfriend, he wears many hats. But he doesn't wear them in front of the camera. He's happier behind the camera, but that's okay. Okay, so we have 216 grams of almond flour, 14 grams of coconut flour, and we're going to add half a teaspoon of baking powder. Where are you getting your baking powder? I mean, I know it's in your cupboard, but did you make it yourself? And I know I tell you guys this. Hi, Del. I know I tell you guys this all the time, but I'm going to say it again because it's so important. Check the baking powder that you're looking at in the store, because the baking powder in the store is full of cornstarch. If you're trying to eliminate grain out of your diet, that is not a good way to do it. So 2 parts baking soda to 1 part citric acid, or 1 part baking soda to 2 parts cream of tartar. Either way works. But one way or the other, you're going to know, whichever of those you choose, you're going to know that you don't have any cornstarch in there, which means you are not adding extra carbs. And you're not adding things that are going to be doing damage to your body. That's what we're trying to avoid. So 1 teaspoon of Tsl Organics Italian herbs seasoning. Now, Tsl Organics, do you guys know about TSL? I know I keep mentioning it. So TSL is something that I am very proud of. Just started it this past spring. Everything that we have in the Tsl Organics line is grain-free, gluten-free, sugar-free. It's non-GMO, non-irradiated. What else is it? It's dairy-free, soy-free. It is just good, honest food. And that is everything, including, I can get one here to show you, the little cocoa gnomes that we have made for stocking stuffers, Christmas gifts. So this is a little single serving gnome. I'm going to have these guys at the Wetaskiwin Farmers Market this afternoon from 2:30 to 5:30. They're a lot of fun. Everything in here, the chocolates, the marshmallows, the cocoa mix, made from scratch. And they are all sugar-free, grain-free, gluten-free, soy-free. And even though all of those things are true, you can still enjoy a nice, sweet, hot cup of cocoa. So, anyway, get away from the gnomes and back to our pizza crust. So we have our almond flour, coconut flour, baking powder, dried Italian seasoning, and we're also going to add half a teaspoon of salt. And you guys know that the salt that we use is Redmond real salt. Redmond real salt is a really important part of this because it has a part of a keto lifestyle, because it is absolutely full of trace minerals. It is the healthiest salt that you can find. So you definitely want to be looking for that in your local health food store, or wherever you shop for good quality food. Okay, I'm just still crunching up a couple of those little pieces of coconut flour. Now we're going to set this aside. That's it. That's all that we're putting in there for dry ingredients. And then on top of that, we're going to add 3 eggs. And we learned last time you need to crack the eggs into another dish, right? Oh, that coffee is really good this morning. I'm not sure why. Some days it tastes better than it does other days. I'm thinking maybe part of the reason is I didn't make it this morning. Somebody made it for me. And when someone does something for you, it definitely makes it a little more special. Okay, so there is 1 egg. We're adding 3 eggs to this. Oh, and that makes 2. And we don't have to divide these eggs. We're using 3 whole eggs, large eggs. There we go. That is number 3. Don't want to leave home without it. Got to have a kitchen rag handy all the time. This one's a little bit too big to go in my pocket, but it sits right close. Okay, so there is that. And where is my, there it is. Just make sure that we have all that egg out of there. The more you scrape it out, the less there is in there to dry things out. Okay, now we are going to add to that 2 tablespoons or 60 milliliters of olive oil. Now you could use avocado oil. I'm using olive oil today, but 6 of one, half of the other. It really doesn't matter much. And then we're going to whip it up. Oh, and we're going to make a mess on the counter too, or cutting board. Now you'll notice that I have a marble cutting board here today, and there's a reason for that. Marble is just naturally colder than your countertop, unless you have a stone countertop. And so it makes it a little easier to work with this pizza dough. If you don't have a marble cutting board, don't worry about it. It's still going to be fine. It's just a little bit easier for me, so I got it out and put it on the counter. And not only that, but when I'm making chocolate chips for the little cocoa gnomes, I set a piece of another marble cutting board on top of this, and that way it stays cold longer. So, and I need it cold when I'm working with chocolate. Okay, so we have olive oil, we have eggs, and we are going to pour these wet ingredients. Let me see if I can get this out of here and get everything all knocked off it without making a mess. There we go. There. Now, we're going to dump this in here and get it all stirred up. Now, it really is just this easy. There is nothing complicated about this. Now, if you're one of those people who is able to toss the pizza dough above your head and, you know, sing whatever Italian, whatever. That is not me. You're not going to be doing it with this pizza crust, I assure you. Because this is not like a bread dough, so it doesn't have that elasticity. The elasticity that you see in pizza crusts that are being, you know, over the head, and that's never been a talent that I had. But those crusts you can do that with because of the gluten in it. The gluten gives it the stretch, and this is not like that. But it is absolutely delicious. Okay, now, do you have some parchment paper in your kitchen? You're going to need parchment paper, or the other thing that is a wonderful idea. And I just had one here so that I would have it handy, and I don't know what I did with it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so the other idea, if you don't want to use parchment paper, is these silicone mats, and you can get them on Amazon. You can get them lots of places. They're very, very common. And that's what we're going to bake it on. Okay, so we've got this mixed up now, mostly. And so we're going to put gloves on. You know, it's not raw meat, and I know you guys all know I don't like raw meat on my hands. I don't want things under my nails. It just feels gross. So we're going to do it this way so that it doesn't feel gross. We're going to put these vinyl gloves on. Here we go. Now, we'll take the little bit of dough that's left. Okay, now we are just going to make sure that this is well mixed. Now, if you look in the bowl, you'll see there's a little bit of dry flour here. So kneading this a little bit is a very good idea. And then we're just going to set it in the bowl to rest for a couple of minutes while we get our tray ready to put it in the oven. Now we're going to put this in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes at 350 degrees. And then it will be ready to pizza. So you can do 2 or 3 of these. And how do you want them shaped? Do you want them round? Do you want them square? The one thing that you do want to do with them is make sure that they are about 1/4 of an inch thick, and you want the dough to be an equal thickness all the way so that it bakes evenly. Okay. Now here we are. This is just going to sit like that for a couple of minutes. Just like that. Okay, set it back in the bowl. We'll set it aside. And make sure that we get all of the dough off. And we will put those in the trash. Sadly, those gloves are not, they're not recyclable. I don't like that. We try really hard in our house to recycle everything that we can recycle, and those are not something that we can recycle, so that is unfortunate. Now I have the silicone mat out here. You can use parchment paper if you like, either way, but you're going to want a pan to put it on. So if you have a square silicone mat and a round pan, that is a square peg in a round hole, so you want to make sure that you don't get the pizza crust too big. Now I'm just taking the last little bit of the olive oil out of the container that I had it in, and just making sure that this is nicely oiled. It does not have to be a lot of oil, it only has to be a little bit. Okay, and then we are going to just turn this dough. Okay, after I say I don't want to touch it, I just do not flip it out of the bowl quite the way I intended. So one more dirty dish here or there. I'm going to be doing dishes anyway, so it doesn't much matter. Okay, there we go. Now, a piece of parchment paper. Make sure your parchment paper is also oiled. Now, this may or may not have done one already, but it is almost exactly the same size as the silicone mat that we're using. So it'll be easy to tell if we're getting it too big. I'm just going to rip half of this off. There we go. Now it's going to be easy to tell if we're getting this too big or too wide, too long, because, oh, and we definitely want to move the cup of coffee because this is way too delicious. Definitely don't want to waste it. You don't need to put a lot of pressure on here, and that's a good thing, because if you did, I probably wouldn't be doing the rolling pin thing myself. Okay, so we are just going to take this until it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. If you want a thinner pizza, you can do that too, but just make sure it's as thin or as thick, however you're doing it, in the middle as it is on the edges. And if it comes out from under the parchment a little bit, it doesn't matter, because you can take that wee bit off and stick it under here, and it just gets rolled on somewhere else. So that's an easy way to make sure that everything is staying easy. Now, if you've got the kids at home and they're wanting to help with supper, then this is something that is easy for them to help with, because they can help put the toppings on the pizza. They can do anything that needs to be done. Now that is about as long as it takes. So we have this beautiful pizza crust, and we're just peeling that parchment paper off of there. Now, if we needed to, we could put that parchment paper back on there and roll it out a little bit more. But it's looking pretty good, except you can see a couple of spots right here where it's too thin. Now that would make that spot really crispy. It would still be fine, but I want the dough even. A little bit thicker here, a little bit thinner there. So you can just push the dough up so that it's the right thickness. Now, if you want a raised edge all around your pizza, go ahead and do that. If you need it to be a specific shape, go ahead and do that. I'm not going to be quite that picky about it today because I am all about the flavor. And while I'm saying that, you can see that I'm tidying up my edges so that they're not ragged. And this is just right to the edge, which doesn't matter, but it's a little bit thinner right there. So I'm just going to thicken that up just a wee bit. Okay, that is ready to go in the oven. So it literally just takes a couple of minutes. So you want preheat your oven. Very important to preheat your oven. And you cannot just kind of put it in there like this. So you're going to want to take the silicone pan or silicone mat or the parchment paper, either or. Grab a sheet pan, cookie sheet, whatever. This mat fits in here just perfectly. Well, almost perfectly. It's a little bit smaller than the pan. We're going to pop this in the oven for 15 or 20 minutes. So keep an eye on it at your house and see how it goes. So we're going to throw this in there. Alexa, set a 15-minute pizza crust timer.
Pizza crust timer, 15 minutes, starting now.
She's so helpful, isn't she? Now, do you want to do a little bit of time travel with me? There we go. Now you can see, looking at this one, I don't know how well you can see it, but my oven is a little hotter on one side than it is on the other. If that's the case with you, and I didn't do it with this, usually I do, if that's the case, just halfway through the bake, turn your pan. Now, look at what happens if you don't keep your crust perfect as far as thickness goes. You can see that I have a little bit of a hole in the crust here. As it bakes, it pulls away if there's a thin spot. So now on Sunday, we are going to get together with the pizza crust and we are going to finish it off. But is this pizza crust worth finishing off? It absolutely is. Those Italian herbs come through and they just really make this crust something special that you're not going to get from any pizzeria. And if you do have a place in your neighborhood that claims that they have a keto crust, please ask them what's in it. Check the ingredients. Not everything that claims to be keto is. And if it's not keto, it is your carb count that's going to be off. It's your blood sugar that's going to be affected. So you definitely want to be asking what the ingredients are in their keto crust. What's it made out of? Looking for keto crust in the grocery store? Always, always, always read the ingredients. The fact that it says cauliflower crust does not mean a thing. I have seen several different brands. They say cauliflower crust and then they add wheat flour or they add cornstarch or they add some other kind of starch or sugar or whatever. So be very careful with what you're buying in the store. If you make it at home, if you take the 10 minutes that it takes to mix this up and you bake it yourself, you know exactly what's in it. You know exactly how many carbs you're going to be getting, and that's important. So I hope all of you have an amazing day. And if you are in the Central Alberta area and you're wanting to do a road trip, please come and join me at the Wetaskiwin Farmers Market. I would love to see you there. I'm going to have little cocoa gnomes for sale. I'm going to have anything that you need for spices over the holiday season. I'll have it all there for sale. So have an amazing day. Please do your best to live your best version of this shining life and be kind to people. We all need that, especially right now at this time of year. Thank you so much for joining me. I have had fun making this pizza crust. Join me on Sunday. We are going to finish this pizza off. It is going to be delicious. You don't want to miss it. I'll see you on Sunday.